Lumos. Hello friends, welcome back to Shell Cottage Radio. I'm your host and secret keeper, Ezra, aka Bill. Also known as Sir Ezra the Watchful, History of Magic Professor, the Flannel Wizard, obviously. Yours truly, me. Please welcome your lovely design witch, the fascination of 4th year, the fascination of this year, Triwizard champion herself, my wonderful co-host and yours, Lottie, aka Fleur.
Hallo und einen wunderschönen guten Tag. It's so good to have you back in our beautiful little cottage on the outskirts of Tinworth. Kommt rein und macht's euch gemütlich. Welcome to episode 91, in which we discuss Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. This week we'll talk about chapter 12, the Triwizard Tournament. The Triwizard Tournament, it's hard to say. We'll give you a quick life update with our homemade cottage ketchup, feed our brains with important trivia knowledge, and then dive head on into our chummery scepter.
Give me that chummery, baby.
Audio experience. And before we dive into that, happy Father's Day. This comes out after Father's Day, I think the Wednesday after, but still, cheers to all the dads and papas out there.
And all father figures.
Right, exactly.
Did I just kiss the mic? There you go, fathers. There you go, Dad. Shame-a-day.
I think it's only in the U.S., so it's not International Father's Day. I'm not sure, because it's definitely not Father's Day in Germany. That's all I know. I'm sorry.
Liza's like, I didn't tell my dad Happy Father's Day,
No.
so she's like, that's funny.
But yeah,
that's confusing. Let's make these things international, okay?
I know, it'd be nice. I think Mother's Day is.
I think you're right. Yeah. Okay. Diving into some cottage ketchup, friends.
We actually celebrated Father's Day yesterday a little bit because Ruby, your new niece, was just born in February, and so that makes Dan a new dad. And also your dad came back from Kentucky, so we had some good food together, played some cornhole, which normally when I play a game, we used to play games with my Opa all the time in the backyard. But you have a little bit of a warm-up phase where you can throw or kick the ball or, for a couple of times before you really actually play.
Right.
We loved playing ping pong or table tennis with my Opa. And, you do a little bit, like 5 minutes of a warm-up where you get used to everything again. But Dan and your sister, jumped right in. First throw was 4 points. There's true.
There's no time.
See, that's the difference. We're not parents yet, so we're like, okay, let's warm up a little bit and slowly start the game. Nope.
No, it is go time. The baby is with someone else right now and is spitting up over everyone
playing.
else. Let's go, okay?
No, that was so fun. It was a great day yesterday.
Yeah, it was fun. It was great. We had fajitas. We had a little.
They were so good.
Yeah, my sister kind of cooked up some stuff or whatever. It was good. It was yummy times.
I have some other stuff I wanted to share in cottage ketchup this week. I forgot what's all in here. I was thinking about, some fun facts, weird stuff, things we don't really know. Why would we? That we could share here and there in cottage ketchup. And since this chapter is introducing the Triwizard Tournament to us, I looked up the top 10. This is Watch Mojo is our source this week. Top 10 weirdest competitions you didn't know existed.
Okay.
We're not going to talk about all 10 of them, but I just want to mention some of them. One is a wife carrying competition.
Okay.
It was invented in Finland, and apparently it comes from a tradition where a thief would steal wives from a village. So it's a little bit of darker history there. But now the modern wife carrying is a wacky and consensual activity for male and female two-person teams who, by the way, don't actually need to be married, with the female partner holding on to the male partner's back in various positions. The team navigates a complex obstacle course. It looks odd and genuinely challenging. So it's basically a team obstacle course thing where you have to carry the other person.
Dang. What are they training for?
Okay, get this. Have you ever heard of toe wrestling?
Toe wrestling?
Yep.
That just sent chills all over my body. That's so crazy.
I think it's from the UK. A couple of friends invented toe wrestling over a few pints one day. So what does it entail? Well, combining elements of arm wrestling and thumb wrestling. Yeah, we have thumb wrestled before. Applying them to feet. Toe wrestling sees two contestants lock toes in an attempt to pin the other's foot. The competition takes place in the small village of Fenny Bentley every year. And it would seem the plan worked as Brits typically dominate the sport.
What in the world? That is so crazy.
Those are just two. Okay, there's a couple more. I'm just going to read their names, not every single description. There's shin kicking championships.
That's terrible.
I know, that hurts. Extreme ironing world championships.
That sounds kind of cool. So like
Extreme
ironing like clothes and stuff, right? They're like, how fast can you iron something maybe? Or they have like, how many shirts can you...
When practicing extreme ironing outside of the competition, it's simply about finding the most challenging setting in which to get the job done and seeing how well you can iron. In the context of the World Championship, however, contestants are made to iron in a variety of extreme settings, often on alternative surfaces, and are judged on both the quality of the iron garment and the creativity of their techniques.
Wow, that is crazy. You know, speaking of like Father's Day, can I say something sad one time? So, well, kind of sad, kind of whatever. Like we're getting ready for church, and I see, I don't know, everybody's running around. Like my dad's been working double shifts. He works midnight, etc. I'm sitting there on the couch, and Dad's got his shirt, and he puts it on the ironing board, and he starts to just iron it. Right? He's pressing the iron on it, and he's moving it around. He keeps looking at the shirt, and something like it's just like. And then I noticed, and I probably noticed it. Yeah, he didn't have the iron. He didn't have it plugged in. He didn't have it plugged in. And I was sitting there watching. I'm like, Dad, I'm this little kid. I'm like, I think you need to plug it in, and like, and he's like, yeah, no. He goes down there and plug. And I just felt like, Dad's so tired and so out of it that he doesn't even, and I'll never forget that memory. I don't know why. I was sitting there and I felt kind of like sad for my dad, and I was like, well,
That's kind of cute, though. I mean, sad because he wasted a little bit of time.
I just watched, I just sat. It's like, why didn't I kind of have this moment where I'm like, why didn't you say something 5 minutes ago? Why didn't you say, every minute that I sat there on the couch and I was like, I should say something. And I didn't, and I just kept sitting there and I'm like, oh, man.
You were too polite.
Finally told him, But I only told him because he was struggling with the, the wrinkles weren't coming out. So, anyway.
Aw.
Yeah. Okay.
So, there you have it. I mean, there's other competitions, but we're not going to read through all of them. Tickling competition would be my worst nightmare.
That would be terrible.
Yeah. That's actually one of them. So.
Gotcha. Well, guys, what we're going to do, we're going to have a special Patreon episode where I steal my wife and we do some toe wrestling. So.
And then we're going to tickle each other. Okay.
Yep. So. Exclusive content posted for you guys. There
is another type of contest that, especially one that we do here on our podcast, is called trivia training.
Do you know what year this takes place?
Wait, is that the trivia question?
No.
94.
Yeah, no, it's 94, but I mean.
What do you mean?
Okay.
Are you trying to come up with a trivia question right
now?
No.
No.
I have one for you. You are trying to come up with a
Okay, you ready?
Wait.
No, you ask me yours.
Okay. This one is another language question. Which of the three that I'm going to give you, which one is the correct German translation of the Triwizard Tournament?
Oh, okay.
A. Das Drei-Zauberer-Turnier, B. Das Trimagische Turnier, or C. Das Triple-Schul-Turnier. Actually, it might help if you could see those, so I'm going to make them visible in the dark.
Yeah, because your pronunciation just was a little off, if I'm going to be honest.
You can see it in the dark now. And
okay.
It's
Okay.
underneath trivia training. So let me read that again.
Yeah.
Which one is the correct German translation of the Triwizard Tournament?
Mhm.
A. Das Drei-Zauberer-Turnier. B. Das Trimagische Turnier. Or C. Das Triple-Schulturnier.
The answer is easy. It is A.
Das Drei-Zauberer-Turnier.
Yeah. That's correct. Go me. Let's go.
No, I'm sorry.
That is how you spell 3.
That's true, but
Try.
it doesn't say 3 in Triwizard Tournament either.
What the heck?
Second guess.
No, it's the. I don't know which one. Tell me.
Es ist das Trimagische Turnier. I'm sorry.
Yep. I
But
knew
you're
it.
right.
I was
Zauberer actually means wizard. They just went with magisch means magical. So das Trimagische Turnier.
Dang. The Tri-Magical Tournament?
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
Sorry.
Okay, that's fine. Got it wrong. Okay.
You got a question for me?
Yes. In what year was the Triwizard Tournament created?
Created.
Yeah. And I'll give you a range, approximation. Okay.
Okay. Well, I think, 500 or 700 years ago? If it's 500 years ago, that would be 1494. I'm just thinking out loud.
You guessed. You guessed.
No, I've said if it was, blah, 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 it would be this. But it doesn't. I didn't give my final answer yet. If it was 700 years ago, it would be 1294?
Yes. And so since you went with 5, you got it wrong, okay?
Yeah, I probably got it wrong anyway. So
No, okay. When was the? I'll give you a redemption question here.
okay.
Wait, just because you start with 500, and you seem like you were doubling down on that. Sorry, couldn't tell. So
Okay.
I'm the
Makes
impartial. I'm the impartial judge.
I thought we're on a podcast and I would think out loud before I give my final answer, so you guys can kind of.
We've never established the rules that say, final answer, right? You've never. But when was the last time that the Triwizard Tournament took place?
Oh, we talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
100 years ago. So.
So.
1894.
Close. 1893. Okay, it said over a century ago.
Okay.
I'm still gonna give you credit though. You have the point because I did stop you earlier, and I apologize. You're probably right.
Well,
so.
how about I get half a point and then we get rid of that 0.5?
Perfect. You can have
There you
half
go.
a point. That'd be great. I'll take 0 points. You have half a point. But would like to throw out to our listeners an idea before we move into the rest of our trivia game. Did you notice that I said 1893, and I believe Hogwarts Legacy takes place in 1890s? So
Yes.
here I am thinking Portkey Games might come out and do an expansion and give us the expansion is the Triwizard Tournament.
Oh, and
The
we're
last
competing
time-
as a champion because they didn't have
Bring
the
those
age
other
limit.
schools.
They
Br-
didn't have the age limit.
They didn't, yeah.
And
bring
we're
it
already
on.
in 5th year.
Already in 5th year.
That would be so
We'll actually be going into
cool.
6th year, right?
And yes.
So
That'd be so cool. Is there already an expansion where we are in 6th year?
I don't think so.
Is our character finishing school?
We haven't finished the game
Yeah,
yet,
we don't
so
even
we don't know. We are still doing the trials. We're still
Yeah.
doing the various let's go ahead and be honest. I
You're-
am working through the game.
I mean, since
Okay.
since we had to fight the big spiders, I was out.
Okay. Well,
No,
still,
I love watching it, and
Mhm.
you're doing such a
I'm
great
doing
job.
the tedious work
Yes,
of
you are.
running us through Hogwarts Legacy. But
I love watching it. I love watching you play.
Good.
So
yeah.
in a way, we're playing together.
Okay, we're playing together. But we haven't finished it yet, and I do know that it takes place in the 1890s, I believe. So what do you guys think? I mean, is it possible that Portkey Games might come out and say, "Hey, our expansion pack is the Triwizard
That'd be
Tournament"?
so cool.
Would that not? It's one of the number one selling games.
Yeah.
Right. It took Game of the Year, or I don't know if it took Game of the Year or not, but it's awesome. And I mean, it has done well. People really like it. We all like it. We know you like it. It is what it is. Do this. More people will like it. It makes sense in canon.
Yes.
Let's do it.
That'd be freaking cool.
Triwizard Tournament, Hogwarts
And they
Legacy.
would have to come up with a different tasks, because I think that the tasks are not always the same. They don't know what it's going to be, right? So it's not like necessarily we would have to get a dragon egg and then go down the lake.
Oh,
and
yeah,
all that
no.
stuff.
It'd be something totally different.
Hopefully something that's a little more audience viewer friendly.
Right. It'd be cool. You could have some training sessions leading up to your different tasks or whatever.
Yeah.
And you could, and maybe, what's the reason why? Build a story around the reason why we stopped the Triwizard Tournament.
Yeah.
For 100 years, we haven't had it.
Uh-huh.
So what happened in Hogwarts Legacy?
Oh, goodness, yeah.
You know what I mean? In your 6th or 7th year.
Something bad happens.
That's like, can't do it anymore. So.
Wow. Love it. Love that idea.
Okay. On to the rest of the trivia.
Moving on. Here you go. You please roll the die. Dice.
Green.
Is it green again? The Grim is an omen of what?
Death. Ding, 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 ding. Give me those points.
Death is correct. That makes
all right.
12.5 for Bill. Please get a card. Take a card.
Any card I want. Okay. Got it.
And I'm going to tell you the color is yellow.
Okay. Who is speculated to be the informant leaking Dumbledore's secrets in Rita Skeeter's book?
Oh, that's a good question.
Oh, bring it on, trivia. This trivia,
that's good. That's good.
It goes low and it goes high. It's like, hey, we're easy. Also, we're hard. So, what are you going to do about
Sometimes we're over hard.
Sometimes we're over
it's
hard.
An inside joke.
Concerning...
And it's not what you think.
Wow. Let's go ahead and explain the inside jokes. That way...
You go ahead, and I'm going to think.
You go ahead and think. So, every time we go to order eggs at a restaurant...
I
Lottie,
freak out.
She freaks out. Like, she looks at me. She's like, "What do you mean? Like, they don't say on the menu. Like, in Germany, they say, here's what it will be." And I'm like, so I know how she likes her eggs. She likes them over hard, and she likes them well done.
Yep.
You can have them over soft. You can have them over hard. You can have them over whatever. And the first time she said, so I said, just say, we were going in, and I'm like telling her, just go ahead and say over hard. Didn't think about it in the moment, but like. You know how she is in this podcast. She can't hold it together. So she, like, how would you like your eggs, ma'am? Over hard, please. And then she just bust up laughing and just couldn't hold it together. So I said, okay, well done. We're going to say well done from here on out.
Yeah.
Because Lottie can't hold it together. Okay. Back to the trivia.
Yes. Sorry.
Who is speculated to be the
go.
informant? I'm just trying to read it again.
Oh, sorry.
Who is speculated to be the informant leaking Dumbledore's secrets in Rita Skeeter's book?
Speculated. Well, wasn't it... what's her name? They go to her house, and she's actually Nagini. She has a copy of the book, and then a thank you note from Rita. But why are they saying speculated? Because that's not speculated. It's in the book. But then Dumbledore's secrets.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was the other guy who also wrote a book about him. What is his name?
Doge.
Doge, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Elphias Doge or something like that.
Yeah.
Don't know his...
Elphias Doge.
Elphias Doge. So, he's not the informant. But then... Gosh, what's her name? They go to her house, and it's... Hang on. There's no time limit here.
I was going to say, longest episode we ever done.
Please.
It's going to be 3 hours later. We're like still in trivia. Lottie's still thinking out loud.
Bertha Jorkins. It's the woman here. Isn't it also a B? Come on, Lottie. Brain. Work. What's her name? Bathilda Backshot?
Got it.
Is that...
Bathilda Backshot.
Is that also the answer?
That's the answer. But was that your final answer, or were you just thinking out loud? You know what I mean? Like, when it's your answer, it's like, oh, is that it? You see what I'm saying?
You could have just let me keep thinking and then give my final
And
answer.
then if you would have said something different, you'd be like, I said that.
Yeah, but then it wasn't.
Oh, you guys here, come check out the video version and see how upset I am right now.
So do I get a point or not?
You get a point.
Oh, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Bathilda Backshot.
Yes.
Let's
Did
go.
you know? I don't know if this is true or not.
But it's so weird. Why is it who is this speculated to be? It's not a speculation. They know it's her. That's what threw me off a little bit.
Yeah. Bonus question. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
You can get another point for this.
Another one.
Uh-huh. So the
Yeah.
reason it says speculated is, let me ask you, how did Rita Skeeter acquire the information from Bathilda Backshot? How did she acquire that information
Well, since
about Dumbledore's childhood?
since Rita sent her a thank you note with a copy of the book, I'm assuming she didn't just spy on her as a beetle, but she actually interviewed her. But did she sniff around her house?
Yeah, that'd be part of it. Be part of it. I forgot this. Do you want to take a guess? You can take a guess. Is there any ways in which you think she could acquire information from Bathilda Backshot? For half a point.
Letters between her and Dumbledore?
Well, maybe, because she did snoop around a little bit and she got some photos and different things. Veritaserum.
You
Serum.
think
It's what it says. It's what she did do.
Oh.
I don't know. I was like,
Goodness. I
it's
don't remember
this
that.
is on the. I don't remember this either. So it says the book depicted the former headmaster in an extremely negative light,
Yeah.
but was mostly based on truth, much to Harry's horror. It. With you, I was listening. By the way, because I'm working on that special episode that we're gonna drop for patrons. Special episode, and I had to go back to some of our other videos. And specifically today, I went back to that very episode, and I laughed my butt off over here. And it just happens to be that word is in here again. Holy! All right, it was implied that she got some of her information in unethical or illegal ways.
Yeah.
So it's just implied. As much of the book's content was obtained through an interview Rita conducted with Bathilda Bagshot, a very elderly historian, where Rita Skeeter used Veritaserum to gain information about Dumbledore's childhood. So it says, like, as a matter of fact, is the way it kind of seems. But I always thought, we never really knew exactly.
Yeah.
But it is in chapter, one has had to bounce ahead there at some point, it is in chapter 18 of the Deathly Hallows.
Okay.
So, long ways away, but I just thought I'd throw that out there because I kind of totally forgot that.
Well, we have to see. I heard Swish and Flick's already on the last book, so maybe
Right.
they will be on chapter 18. I mean, they will definitely be on that chapter earlier than we are. But
Maybe they're going to beat us there, guys. I'm not sure. We're racing ahead here. I heard they are breaking their stuff into multiple parts, so
that's true. So
maybe
we might
we'll catch 'em.
up.
Okay. Watch out now.
No, yeah, I'm going to definitely listen in when they're on that chapter and see what they have to say.
Yes.
All right. Are you ready for the summary?
Yes.
You mind if I read it this time?
No.
Chapter 12, The Triwizard Tournament. The magical carriages labor through the rain and mud until they finally come to a halt in front of the giant oak doors that mark the entrance to Hogwarts Castle. As soon as Harry, Ron, and Hermione arrive in the entrance hall, Peeves the Poltergeist welcomes them by dropping a water balloon on Ron's head. Professor McGonagall comes to their rescue and motions them into the Great Hall, where the annual sorting ceremony is about to begin. Harry sits down at the Gryffindor table and is greeted by an overexcited Colin Creevey. The third grader announces that his brother Dennis is starting Hogwarts this year and is about to be sorted. This makes Harry wonder whether all siblings are bound to be in the same house, but Hermione reminds him that even twins don't always belong to the same house. Padma and Parvati, for example, are in Gryffindor and Ravenclaw. Their attention then shifts over to the staff table, where there's still no sign of a new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher. Hermione fears they might not have been able to find anyone who's willing to take the job, as it seems to be cursed. The enchanted ceiling reflects the stormy weather outside perfectly, and lightning keeps flashing across it. After what seems like an eternity, the doors of the Great Hall open again, and a line of soaked and shivering first years proceed to the top of the hall. One of the little boys stands out immediately. It is Dennis Creevey. He's wearing Hagrid's coat and proudly signals to his brother Colin that he fell into the water on their boat ride over. Professor McGonagall presents the sorting hat, and the entire school goes silent as the hat begins to sing. It tells the tale of how it was created by the 4 founders and recites the virtues each house represents. Ron notices that the song is slightly different from when they were sorted in their first year. They watch the ceremony with rumbling stomachs and witness Dennis Creevey get sorted into Gryffindor. After the last student is declared a Hufflepuff, Dumbledore opens the feast, and everyone enjoys a hearty dinner. Nearly Headless Nick enviously eyes the food. He mentions that they're lucky to have something to eat tonight, because Peeves had caused havoc earlier down in the kitchens. When he brings up how frightened the house elves were, Hermione is outraged at the thought of eating food made by slave labor. At the end of the feast, Professor Dumbledore rises to make several announcements. First, he reminds them on behalf of Filch to check the list of forbidden magical objects inside the castle because it has been extended by 3 new items, followed by the usual reminder that the forest is out of bounds, as well as the village of Hogsmeade for first and second year students. Finally, the headmaster reveals the shocking news that there will be no Quidditch tournament this year. He's about to explain why, when thunder rumbles especially loud and the doors of the Great Hall swing open to reveal a limping man with a wooden leg, a scarred face, and a missing chunk of nose. Most notably, one of his eyes appears large, round, and of a vivid electric blue color. Unlike his other normal-looking eye, this eye seems to move independently in all directions. Dumbledore introduces the strange man as the new defense against the dark arts teacher, Professor Moody. Staff and students are too flabbergasted by the ex-Auror's appearance to applaud. Dumbledore then delivers more thrilling news. The Triwizard Tournament will take place at Hogwarts this year. This prestigious event, held between Hogwarts, Beauxbaton, and Durmstrang, hasn't taken place in a century due to its high number of casualties in the past. However, it is now being revived, and a champion from each school will be chosen on Halloween to compete in 3 magical tasks. Hogwarts will host a number of pre-selected top students from Beauxbaton and Durmstrang during the school year. The guest students and their headmasters will be arriving in October. Dumbledore goes on to explain that due to the tournament's dangerous nature, only students aged 17 or older are eligible to enter. A number of students openly show their disapproval toward this new rule. Excited chatter fills the Great Hall as Dumbledore dismisses them to bed. Fred and George immediately begin plotting ways to bypass the age restriction. Even Ron and Harry dream about entering the tournament as they climb up the stairs to Gryffindor Tower and to their dormitory. All cozy and comfortable in his warm bed, Harry imagines what it would be like to be chosen as champion, raising his arms into the air after winning the tournament, admired by all his classmates, especially by Cho Chang.
Wait, that last line got me. Especially by Cho Chang.
Famous Chang.
He's mentioned her a couple times, right? He's definitely he's starting to notice not only other schools. Now he's like, okay, other schools exist, but also how about them other houses up in here? He's been focused
on girls exist.
Well, and I was getting to that, but he's been focused on Slytherins and Dracos.
True.
Okay, Dracos, and he is now focused on. Oh, there's Ravenclaw over there. All right, what's up, Ravenclaw and Cho Chang? How you doing, baby? How you doing? All right. Okay, so I know you have thoughts. I know you have notes, and you have a bunch of different things penciled down. But I want to reiterate a point that I made earlier, and I also want to talk about a few things. Okay. Yeah. So my major question is, why now? Why hold the Triwizard Tournament now? It has been over a century, okay?
Yeah.
So that is 1893, possibly,
yeah,
when the tournament was last held. I don't know, Hogwarts Legacy, right? Time. So what happened then? Clearly someone died, okay? Maybe a 3rd year, 4th year, who knows, from maybe Durmstrang or Beauxbaton. But now we're going to hold it again. And I think the reason is it's been 100 years, right? Sure. There was stuff going on with Grindelwald, Voldemort.
Yeah,
it was a risky
first Wizarding War,
right? It was a risky first and second, right? It's been those have both transpired between the time that we had the last Triwizard Tournament and then we're having this one. The reason we're having this one now is because of what it said in the chapter. We finally got our magical sports committee to meet up with our International Relationships Committee.
Right.
And they're basically saying, and I think it's all Dumbledore sort of saying, guess what? The Philosopher's Stone almost was stolen. The Chamber of Secrets was opened. And we all freaked out last year because somebody got out of Azkaban.
Mm-hmm.
If one person can get out, maybe more can.
Yeah.
Possibly. Okay? Now, before, because you have to imagine it's like a year to set this tournament up or more. So they started in year 3. And I think in year 3, at the beginning of the year, Sirius Black is like there.
Yeah.
Okay? He's attacking, and you're Dumbledore. You're already meeting with everybody to set this up. And it's like, guys, we need to get the international community on board here, because this is like to start the year off 3 years in a row. We have had a reference or sort of a reminder that Voldemort is back. So I guarantee you he's like, Barty, hey, you get Ludo. Go talk to everybody else. It is time that we start to strengthen our international relationships, because I can see the signs.
Yeah, and because, I mean, especially like with Voldemort, he has not really gone beyond Britain's borders yet.
Yeah.
Dumbledore clearly remembers Grindelwald's time, and he was one who definitely caused like an international kind of war. We don't know the end yet, but
For
definitely international like trials, like where borders or countries were tested and loyalties were tested, and he definitely wants to prevent and like thinking ahead, wants to prevent that happening in the future. Even though you said there has been Death Eaters from other countries, as we know. I'm blanking on his name. Karkaroff is not from Britain, so we don't know how many more there is.
Exactly. So the stretch, it's like it's growing. What's crazy when you think back to the Dumbledore Grindelwald story, Grindelwald went to Durmstrang, right?
Yeah, he
and
did.
So it's interesting when you think about maybe how they would have met, and I think about my theory that they might be bringing, like Dumbledore when he shows up at Hogwarts, I believe when he shows up there, I think it's like it's around this time. I think he could be a first or a second year.
Yeah.
When they have the last Triwizard Tournament. I could be wrong. I think the timing is that like Dumbledore shows up as a first, second, or third year. I don't know what it is. And he could have met Grindelwald there, who came with the Durmstrang students. You know what I'm saying?
You know who definitely has experienced a Triwizard Tournament?
Who?
Nicholas Flamel.
Wow.
He was a Beauxbatons student, I'm sure.
What?
And he's isn't he over 700 years old?
Hold on just a second. Full time out here. Wait, Nicholas? You're right.
I think he's from France. I think he went to Beauxbatons. And that's because they hold it every 5 years. He must have, unless it was not invented yet when he went to school.
So it looks like he was born 1326, so the tournament was well in swing.
Wow, so he definitely experienced one.
So major question there, Nicholas Flamel, was he ever
champion?
A Triwizard champion?
Ooh,
because clearly the tournament was kind of going during his time, and it had been around for over 700 years. So
that's
around
an interesting question. I'm gonna write down.
1294, I think, would have been about the time where the tournament was created, the Triwizard Tournament, the Goblet of Fire and such. And then he is born in the year 1326, clear up until at least 1992. So it's possible.
Yeah.
Right? It's possible that Nicholas Flamel could have been a Triwizard Tournament champion. Dang.
That is cool to think about that. Uh-huh.
So although Dumbledore, according to the series, met Gellert Grindelwald when he was 17, right? So he meets him when he's 17. His great aunt, Bathilda Bagshot, they meet at Godric's Hollow. But I would like to theorize a little bit that maybe they met before they were 17. It's possible that maybe they weren't really friends, but maybe they met or they were acquainted in some way.
They have seen each other before.
Seen each other in passing. Maybe their first initial contact was not when they were 17, but that 17 sort of like they recalled a previous memory or moment where they had originally met at either Hogwarts or Durmstrang during the Triwizard Tournament.
Yes.
Now, why? Because in 1994, over 100 years ago, was the last time that we had the Triwizard Championship. And that would be 1894. which would mean that Dumbledore was a third-year student, and Gellert Grindelwald would have been a second-year student. So it's possible that if Dumbledore was visiting Durmstrang, the tournament was held there, he'd be a third-year student, maybe very gifted and talented. Hey, we're going to bring... Here's our short list of champions. Albus, you're up, buddy. Let's go. You're the youngest. And they bring him, and he goes to Durmstrang, and he meets a Gellert Grindelwald.
Yeah.
Or the other way around. Again, you have like a second year, not likely, but maybe just for the experience of saying, let's take one of our best, Grindelwald, and let's bring him to Hogwarts.
Yeah, one of the most promising students, maybe.
Right. And so maybe they just had some sort of, handshake or passing, or they knew of each other because they both were at the Triwizard Tournament.
Wow.
The last one. Wouldn't that be crazy?
That would have been cool.
Portkey Games, I'm telling you, let's go. This is where it's at.
That'd be so cool.
Sorry, just had to get all the facts straight there on that. But yeah, Dumbledore was born in August 1881. He would enter Hogwarts at 1892. The game is taking place in 1890, as far as we can tell. It's 1890. So 2 years from now, when our student is a seventh year, it looks like we'll possibly have Albus Dumbledore showing up as a first year. Maybe.
And we don't know the exact dates, so it could be even earlier. Or, no, not later, right? Not later than 94 because of the century thing. Okay,
right.
Gotcha.
I mean, if we're taking that, I mean, sometimes you just say ballpark, it's been over a century.
Yeah.
Does that mean it's been 105 years? Has it been exactly 100 and...
But it's possible that Dumbledore himself has witnessed a Triwizard Tournament.
Tragedy
and met maybe Gellert Grindelwald before.
Right.
Yeah.
Be really cool, right?
Yes.
All right, sorry. I had to just get that out of the way. I think it's important to understand why there's been such a gap and maybe the significance of these characters and how you could tie all that
it's
together.
never explained before.
Right,
so.
right.
Wow. Crazy. Okay, before the students of Hogwarts even learn about this huge event for them, I mean, we see it through Harry's eyes. A lot of them have never really met wizards and witches from other countries. So this is really, really exciting this year. But as of right now, when we start the chapter, they don't even know about that yet. All they're worried about is getting into the dry castle, getting out of the rain, right? This whole day and night, it's been pouring. It's terrible weather outside. It's been storming. I mean, Hogwarts is on this island, probably surrounded by, we know, the Great Lake, the loch. It's probably a loch, right? And it's just on this island up there, the castle. And they come inside. Peeves, the poltergeist.
Bless him.
He throws water balloons at the students, and one of the balloons hits Ron on his head. And it turns out this is all because Peeves is not allowed to attend the feast. Later on, it's explained, Nick explains to us that Peeves has been trying to attend the welcome feast.
Yeah.
And that's why he's caused havoc in the kitchens. And they held a ghost council for Peeves. Guess what? The Fat Friar?
Yeah.
He was going to say, let him, it's okay. Let Peeves be part of the celebration and stuff. But
Hufflepuff right there.
Right, but the Bloody Baron wouldn't have it. So
I get... Can I ask you a question? Mm-hmm. I think one of the issues that people have is maybe instead of like opposing and being against Peeves, the way to work with him is to be friends with him a little bit.
Right, that's what Fred and George did, and he saluted them.
Exactly, and try to, maybe like appreciate his mischief a little bit, or laugh at it, or I don't know, not participate in it, but essentially give him that respect instead of just, I don't know, it feels like a lot of people get it wrong, and they start to they yell, and they cry, and they stamp their foot, and blah, blah, and that's all he wants. That's all he wants you to do.
Exactly.
He's so happy. So don't give him what he wants. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
No, we see even Professor McGonagall has problems keeping Peeves in check, and maybe Dumbledore can handle him better. Probably exactly for that very reason. You just said you got to be more on Peeves' level. You can see a Dumbledore kind of joking around with Peeves more than you can see Professor McGonagall do that.
Right.
I like, though, that McGonagall here is depicted very, very human, because she almost falls. It's very slippery in the great hall. In the entrance hall, because of all the rain and the water. and she almost falls, and she has to hold on to Hermione.
Yeah.
Which kind of hurts her because I think she's like
it seems to be like she's
neck.
sliding in on like she's like, oh, and she like reaches over and grabs Hermione by the shoulder and like pulls Hermione down with her. It's like, oh, sorry, dear, but like.
Right. And I love that though, because it shows just humanity. Often we see Professor McGonagall as this stern teacher. She's got it all together. She's a strong witch, right?
Yeah.
But she's also just a person.
Well, here's something. When you're teaching and you do that one thing where you stub your toe or you trip or you drop something and people are like, oh, my teacher's just because you're explaining, you're educating, you're doing your thing, and then you do something that just is kind of embarrassing.
Right. It happens all the time.
None of us can focus because you just totally made a fool out of yourself and you're like, oh, okay, well. Fine.
And then either, you have choices. Either you laugh it off or you kind of brush over it or you make another joke out of it. It's, you have many choices, but...
Yeah, and you never know how it's going to go.
It's a skill you kind of have to grow when you start teaching.
Right. High school and middle school boys.
Oh, gosh.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck. They ain't going to let you live that down, Frau Kirka.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. Yeah, if you say something wrong, pronounce things wrong, then you're,
Done. Done for.
It's so funny when they enter the Great Hall and they're, like, waiting for the first years to be sorted. It's the snobbishness of being an older student that comes through Harry and Ron here. They're like, man, I'm so hungry. Can they get on with this? I'm starving.
Right.
And even though Harry is kind of excited because he's never watched a sorting ceremony before, except for his own.
Right.
Because of the events last year and the year before. But that attitude they have, like, oh, we're established Hogwarts students. We're in our 4th year now. It's almost like they forgot how they felt when they were first years in that little, weren't there in the broom chamber or a broom thing? Like a little, all the first years were in there and they were talking about what could be the big thing they have to face when they get into the Great Hall. And nobody seemed to know what it was. But they were so nervous. And now here they are, like, whatever. It's kind of a nuisance to them, and they're just older.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, Colin Creevey.
Let's go.
He tells Harry that his brother Dennis is going to start Hogwarts this year, and then they're discussing if siblings normally end up in the same house. And here's a question for you. Hermione already tells us, well, not always, because, Parvati and her sister, Padma, they're in totally different, like they're in Gryffindor and Ravenclaw.
Yeah.
Question for you. Do you think you and your sister would have been in the same house?
Oh, no way.
You don't think she's a Hufflepuff?
No way.
No?
Nope.
She has some Hufflepuff traits, but...
Yeah, but you know what? She would have been, in the best way possible, a Slytherin.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Totally.
I can see that
too. And I love her so much, but it's just, she's so different from me that there's just no way. Because I think about that. I'm like, all right, you look at the Weasleys too. I mean, in a lot of ways, they're all very different, but at the same time, they're also truly Gryffindors. I like that you have siblings who could go, especially the twins, that they go in different houses like that.
Yes.
The Patil twins.
Yeah.
So for me and my sister, no, I would be a Hufflepuff and she would be a Slytherin. Straight up.
How about your mom and dad?
Mom and dad, no. Dad would have been a Gryffindor and mom would have been a Ravenclaw.
Really?
Yeah.
You would have been like one of those families who had all 4 houses.
I'm straight up not even messing with you. Yeah.
That's awesome.
No, for a fact. I can call it. They could all take the test and I could call it.
We still have potential, okay? If we have kids that are where one is in Gryffindor and one is in Slytherin, we could have a family of 4 houses again.
It might run in my family. I don't know.
Yeah.
Now, how about you and your brother, though? How about you and your brother?
It's funny. I thought about that when I came up with the question, obviously. My brother also has some Slytherin traits for sure, but I think he would have been a Ravenclaw.
Me too.
As well.
I was going to say Ravenclaw
too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we would have been in the same house.
Yep.
He would have been a Raven Rin, whatever the combination word for Ravenclaw and Slytherin would be. But I definitely don't think my mom and dad would be in the same house as my brother and I.
No.
I think my mom and dad actually might have been Slytherins or Gryffindors.
I think I'm so glad that you said first that they were Slytherins.
No,
I was like, nah, they're both Slytherins, straight up.
That's so funny.
It's crazy, right? That your mom and dad and they had 2 Ravenclaws.
Very ambitious, yeah.
Yeah. butted heads.
Yes, that's a reason. There's a reason why, my mom and dad, they're divorced, and that's okay. But they are both what you call, I don't know, do you call them alpha dogs?
Yeah, alpha dogs.
Yeah, they just both want to be in charge and know what, tell you what's up.
Right.
So
Right.
it's really,
that's funny.
But yeah, I can see why it didn't work out in the end.
Right.
So it's so interesting to think about the family bonds, and it also depends on what you value, right? I think my brother and I, we definitely value different things than my mom and dad.
Yeah.
I would say. And even my brother and I, we also each value different things, but also you're not always the same. I mean, all the Gryffindors are different. All the Ravenclaws are different.
Yeah, Luna and Cho are very different.
Oh, yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Totally.
Yeah, but what they, like the core values they have about, knowledge and creativity and all that stuff, I think that's where they agree in different ways. Yeah.
Can I just say, Colin and Dennis Creevey.
Yes, talk about them.
What a name, by the way. The Creevey brothers.
Yeah.
Just think of it, just the Creevey brothers. They're just crazy. They're just crazy. They're, Colin's so pumped that he's a wizard, and his brother's here now, and he's just like,
yes,
can you believe this? Right? Can you believe this? It's just, to them, it's just wild. And they never really get over the idea that, like, how cool this is.
Yeah.
It's just, I think I need to give them more love as we go through the reread, because they're a lot of fun. And I kind of wish that actor would have stuck around in the movies and we would have had more of the Creevey presence, but we only really get it in Chamber of Secrets is where he's at. So
I think he might be in the background for some of the other movies.
Right. Yeah. But anyways, I love him though. I think it's cool, and it's just kind of neat because through Dennis is the one who falls in. I think you're going to get, or was that, did we already mention that, or is that coming up? But he fell in, right? He was completely drenched, and then the squid, he said, possibly.
Can you imagine as Hagrid though? I mean, maybe Hagrid didn't even see it because... Did
Hagrid jump in after him? Can Hagrid swim?
Or Hagrid had his umbrella nearby and kind of, he just felt... Dennis just felt a force pushing him back into the boat, and Colin is the one who just guesses, it must have been the giant squid.
Right, but...
Maybe it was Hagrid.
It could have been Hagrid's
or a mer person.
How I'm trying to say Hagrid's magic.
Yeah.
But it could also be that Hagrid has good relationships with the giant squid.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And maybe the mer people, possibly. I mean, he's into those, right? Fantastical.
Probably. Maybe.
Beings.
Yeah, maybe there is some sort of, even before, like every year before he goes and gets the first years.
Yeah.
In case, kids, 11-year-old kids, if somebody just because they're being silly, even if it's not stormy, but they push each other off the boat, maybe he has like a little conversation with the giant squid right before and said, hey, can you just watch out for them?
Yeah, maybe we're gonna feed you something extra after the great feast.
Please don't eat the kids.
Yeah, we got you. All right, we'll hook you up.
Yeah,
possibly, but
those two, they're just
they're great.
They're so excited about all this stuff because they would never have imagined. They have very different reactions from Hermione. But while Hermione is immediately, her nature is to dive into all the books and figure out all this stuff because she feels behind because she's not learned anything about the wizarding world before she entered, right? So she always had that feeling of, I'm gonna go get ahead before everyone else, and they're just in the moment excited, like Dennis and Colin.
Yeah, I would love to. Maybe we'll do a deep dive because some of these characters as they come up. One of the things we wanted to do on Patreon more is to go into their full story, kind of like a stretch ahead in the series. But Dennis Creevey, I would almost like to speculate like what does happen to him afterwards, and where does he go in life.
Yeah, before the sorting, however, we hear the Sorting Hat song. And this song is interesting because it seems to mention the birthplaces of the founders. And let me the 2 lines, let me read that real quick. So the song starts, the hat starts singing, and here are a few of the lines. When he sings about the founders, he says, bold Gryffindor from Wild Moor, fair Ravenclaw from Glen, sweet Hufflepuff from Valley Broad, shrewd Slytherin from Fen. And here is a cool theory from Reddit. Reddit user Giffy the Shark says the following. As I was rereading Goblet of Fire, I noticed the Sorting Hat song stated that the founders were, and then he says Bull Gryffindor and so on, what I just read. I think that this indicates they are from the 4 separate countries in the British Isles. The moors indicating England for Gryffindor, Glen denoting the Scottish Highlands for Ravenclaw, broad valleys representing Wales for Hufflepuff, and the marshy fen symbolizing Ireland for Slytherin. It also kind of matches up with the house's colors. Gryffindor has red, like on the English flag, and the national flower rose. Slytherin has green, the color of a shamrock, and the Irish is the Irish national plant. And we know, everyone. Green and Ireland go together.
Right.
Ravenclaw has blue, as seen on the Scottish flag, and Hufflepuff has yellow, the color of the Welsh national flower, daffodil.
Dang.
Right?
That'd be kind of cool.
That's so fun. I mean, it's nothing groundbreaking for the book series or anything, but I think it's a cool idea.
That's kind of
She's never confirmed. I mean, J.K. Rowling never confirmed this theory. Looks like this was 4 years ago when this was posted on Reddit. So I think it's a cool idea.
Yeah, because the Sorting Hat does sort of say from here and from here and from there, and mentions each of the founders by name, and then has 1 or 2 words to reference maybe where they're from.
Yeah.
So if that's all you have to go off of, and again, they're the founders for this school, and they represent those different regions, and they maybe the most powerful individuals in their region, and they come up through that. It's crazy.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool. I like it.
Cool theory. And also, this also motivates me to go see other parts of the British Isles, because we've seen quite a lot of Scotland and we still want to go back and explore more. But also I would love to see Wales and some parts of England and Ireland for sure. So man, we just need to go back.
Yes.
And then after the ceremony's over and Dumbledore is about to announce the Triwizard Tournament, here enters one of the main characters. We've heard his name before, but we also know it is actually not him. Moody enters the Great Hall. He's a little late.
Yeah.
But it's actually Barty Crouch Jr. Yes.
So this is, okay. This is crazy. Okay. It's actually crazy to think that Barty Crouch Jr. does show up here and enters Hogwarts in this disguise. And that there's, I know it's Polyjuice Potion must be super. It's just, he's not, he's impersonating. So it's like this physical alteration. Yeah. But there's no, at Gringotts when they go through the Thieves' Downfall. Yeah. Like it washes off all those different sort of enchantments
Crazy
and
that
stuff.
Hogwarts doesn't do that.
Yeah, there's nothing that you have to sort of walk through and you can come in like this. I wonder if they didn't change that though. I wonder if Dumbledore... Yeah, things were getting a little crazy. He had a lot on his plate, but maybe they're like, you know what? In case somebody else comes in here trying to impersonate a professor or someone else and they're trying to come in and attack our students, maybe we should sort of set up another defense where you have to kind of walk through and go through like the Thieves' Downfall to where it takes away all those potions, all those enhancements, or all those special effects, or any sort of, I guess it would be deception, any type of deception, right? Interestingly
enough, just last year, they put up this whole defense thing with the Dementors, for a false criminal.
Right, exactly.
Sirius wasn't really a criminal, but they were afraid of him, so they put the Dementors in charge to guard Hogwarts. Now they're gone, and now here is a real imposter, a real intruder. And it's crazy.
A real prisoner of Azkaban.
Right, he is.
Right? I mean, he's actually the prisoner of Azkaban.
He's the real prisoner.
And here he is. He shows up. There are no Dementors guarding this place. Even if they were there, even if the Dementors were there to sort of protect and let's say...
Would they have recognized him?
I don't think so, right? Because they just see like a soul for a soul. His mother goes in. Barty Crouch Jr.'s mother is substituted for him. They're really kind of blind in that way. Yeah. Right? As long as they have something to feed on in that cell, they didn't really care. They just wanted to feed on it, and even though they left his mother there and he's gone, they don't see the difference necessarily, which is interesting. So them guarding here, they would have been like, hey, whatever, dude. We don't recognize your, like, the sensations of your particular, feelings, energy, soul, whatever it is that we kind of suck on.
Right.
It's crazy. But yeah, so they would have just let him in.
Wild.
I do want to say another thing, though. I think that when Mad-Eye Moody comes in and he goes up to Dumbledore, when he walks up, there's a meeting between the two.
Right.
And I don't know if you have that in front of you. If you
I
do,
have it
stop
right
me.
here.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead and read that.
The stranger reached Dumbledore. He stretched out a hand that was as badly scarred as his face, and Dumbledore shook it, muttering words Harry couldn't hear. He seemed to be making some inquiry of the stranger, who shook his head unsmilingly and replied in an undertone. Dumbledore nodded and gestured the man to the empty seat on his right-hand side.
There you go. It's good. Okay. So 2 interesting things is that you have the stranger. So she got the clue is there, right?
Yeah.
He's a stranger.
Yeah.
He is a stranger to Harry, but he's also a stranger to Dumbledore, kind of. And he shows up and Dumbledore inquires something of him.
Yeah.
I believe that Mad-Eye, so he is interrogating Mad-Eye Moody, the real Moody, in his sort of like box or whatever. And he basically says, is there anything special between you and Dumbledore that you exchange to confirm your identity? Is there anything that Dumbledore will be looking for, a phrase or a code name or some sort of whatever? Right there is this whispered greeting. And it seemed as if Dumbledore was sort of asking... I mean, again, it wouldn't surprise me as the constant vigilance of Mad-Eye Moody to say, hey, to make sure it's the real me, you know, I'm going to ask you blank, 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 or I'm going to say this or whatever. It's the same thing that they do after the Battle of the Seven Potters.
Right. Lupin does it.
Right.
Yeah.
They have these questions to make sure that it is the real person. Now, they do that later because of this situation and because there's a spy in their midst and they're betrayed and Mad-Eye Moody himself is killed at that point. But it really is interesting that I think they go up here and it seems the way it's worded is that Dumbledore is inquiring as if he's checking. And whatever the check is, he passes. He passes because he's interrogated the real Moody and whatever he had to say to Dumbledore there. It seems, I mean, I'm making this up. This is just headcanon for me, that there's some sort of exchange or password to confirm that this is the real person or something, or that it's just something that they always do to where they sort of know that this is and it seems crazy to say that, but I'm just spitballing.
Another option could also be that he's just inquiring about the intruders this morning or how it went with the ministry and everything. You know, Arthur went there. I don't know how if Dumbledore... If, you know, he's just checking on him. Is everything okay?
Okay, yeah.
Because maybe he heard of the
dustbins.
Incident. Yeah, the dustbins, yeah.
Arthur Weasley was there that morning.
Yeah.
So something happened the morning of.
Yes.
Suspicious. So he's got to be asking Moody, like, what do I do to sort of to assure Dumbledore that I am the real Moody? I bet you he asked him a bunch of questions. What is it that I have to do? Not just your gate or that he, knowing that he drinks from the flask or whatever.
Yeah, which is a blessing for him right now because every single hour, we know that it wears off, the Polyjuice Potion wears off after an hour.
Right. I wonder if there's any long-term side effects of that, actually.
I'm sure.
Sure people haven't drank it for like a whole school year.
Oh, sorry.
It's kind of crazy. You know what I mean? A whole day would be one thing, but to drink it every hour of every day. And imagine this, when Mad-Eye Moody goes to sleep at night, at Hogwarts, he turns into Barty Crouch Jr.
If you went into his room in his bed and you pulled away the sheets, you'd
find a naked Barty Crouch Jr. I'm sorry.
Wait, how do you know he's naked?
I don't know. He sleeps in his undies. I don't know. But
yeah, you're right though.
Crazy, right?
That is crazy, man.
It's just nuts to think that he's there.
Well, plus we know that Harry doesn't really check the Marauders map a whole lot because the one time he sees Moody, aka Barty Crouch, it doesn't the map doesn't specify junior or senior, so to his luck, Barty Crouch Sr. is also on the castle grounds somewhere, so Harry doesn't know. He just assumes it's the older Barty Crouch.
Right.
But had he looked at his map any point in time, any night, and he saw Moody's office or the DADA office, there would have been Barty Crouch, his name.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Wild.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he shows up. The man's crazy, and I think we'll get into later some speculation about what his eye can see through and what it can't see through because it's twirling all around right now.
Yeah, that's what everyone notices right away is that strange eye that he has.
Jumping.
And he's absolutely, like, his body seems very scarred everywhere. Parts of his, nose are missing.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, his entire face looks very much...
Hermione actually says, what's wrong with his face?
Yeah.
Like, he really looks like he's been through a battle.
Yes. Many battles, in fact. Yeah. So, Dumbledore introduces him as the new teacher, and no one claps but Dumbledore and Hagrid. And they're like, okay.
Awkward.
Okay, let's move on, is what Dumbledore says. Move on to something happier and tell them that the Triwizard Tournament will be taking place at Hogwarts this year. You're joking, said Fred Weasley loudly. He can't believe it. But this breaks the tension that had filled the hall ever since Moody's arrival. Nearly everyone laughed, and Dumbledore chuckled appreciatively. I am not joking, Mr. Weasley, he said, though now that you mention it, I did hear an excellent one over the summer about a troll, a hag, and a leprechaun who all go into a bar. Professor McGonagall cleared her throat loudly. Oh, but maybe this is not the time. No, said Dumbledore.
Yeah. And
you actually went and checked if you can find the joke that Dumbledore mentioned anywhere.
Right. And so this has been interesting. There's actually been a lot of like little Reddit posts, and I think MuggleNet actually had their own sort of version of the joke. They finished the joke, if you will. So Dumbledore starts off with a troll, a hag, and a leprechaun all went into a bar.
Yeah.
And to finish that joke, I had ChatGPT finish it for me.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it basically came up with this. So a troll, a hag, and a leprechaun all went into a bar. The bartender looks up and says, quote, "What is this? Some kind of Triwizard Tournament reunion?" You didn't laugh? You didn't think it's funny? I thought it was hilarious. It doesn't seem like it's a funny joke. I literally said that was so good you made me laugh out loud. To me, I just thought it was like, I mean, it's so dumb.
But they're not the Triwizard Tournament.
No.
From different schools.
I know. It doesn't even, the bartender looks up and says, "What is this? Some kind of Triwizard Tournament reunion?"
I remember you were dying laughing.
I think it's
and I was so excited
stupid
for this joke.
I know you were. I'm sorry I've let you down big time. But it's a leprechaun, a troll, and a hag. Now, yeah, it's just ChatGPT trying to throw shade at this leprechaun, this troll, and this hag.
Are you saying that Crumb is a troll, Cedric is a leprechaun, and then Fleur is a hag?
Is a hag. I don't know. I just thought it was funny. I then asked it to make me different versions. I'm so glad there was an awkward pause where you're like, that's not funny, because I laughed out loud. I don't know why. I didn't expect it. It was the unexpected thing. I didn't expect it to come up with that. It was like just all right. Here, let me see. The other ones, they're pretty bad though. They're bad. It just came up with some bad ones. So a leprechaun, a troll, and a hag all walk into a bar. The bartender looks up and says, "What'll it be?" The leprechaun says, "A pint of your finest ale." The troll grunts, "Something strong." The hag cackles and says, "I'll have some water." The bartender raises an eyebrow and says, "Water in a magical bar?" The hag grins, "It's for my cauldron. I've got a potion to brew." It's just so dumb. ChatGPT, your sense of humor. And I guess I'm laughing more because it's AI. Trying to create a joke, and it's off, man. It needs some feedback. It just has no way of giving a good. So, and then here, okay, a leprechaun, a troll, and a hag. I tried 3 times. A leprechaun, a troll, and a hag all went into a bar. Bartender looks up and says, "Sorry, folks, we don't serve magical creatures here." The leprechaun replies, "That's okay. We brought our own butterbeer." They're just dumb. It's not a joke. And I literally said, "Can you tell a different version of the same joke?" It just didn't. It was bad.
A joke out of this, the leprechaun. So we don't.
There's nothing good.
No magical creatures here.
Here's why it's so bad. MuggleNet also
says, "There's nothing magical about me, bro."
There's nothing magic. Yeah, there ain't nothing magic. Yeah, no.
Okay.
No. Okay. So MuggleNet went on to kind of try to finish this joke, and they said, so they wrote back to one of their, I think it was somebody who wrote into them and asked them, "Dear Professor Dumbledore, could you please finish the joke that you started in Harry's 4th year?" And so Dumbledore writes back, air quote, Dumbledore, this being them, right, writing back saying, "I'm so glad that you asked this question. Here is the abridged joke. A leprechaun, a troll, and a hag all went into a bar. Benny, said the bartender to the leprechaun, I warned you three not to come back here after the last time. Took me weeks to clean up after all the mischief you caused. Oh, but it's Floss's birthday, said Benny, pointing to the hag. She smiled and showed off one of her good tooths. Give us a tooth. Showed off for one good tooth. I just can't read, so I was trying to make it work. Okay. Give us a quick pint and let Troll and me sing to her. Then we'll be on our way. Cross me heart and hope to die. The bartender was a soft-hearted and rather soft-headed man, so he did as Benny asked. No sooner had they finished their drinks when a fight broke out over who should be allowed to kiss Floss on her birthday. The troll and the leprechaun wrestled like they were caught in devil's snare and broke a remarkable amount of glassware. The bartender tried every spell he knew to stop them, but nothing worked. Truth to tell, he was not a very good wizard. Meanwhile, Floss the hag stood by, grinning and looking quite pleased with the celebration in her honor. After a lengthy brawl, the troll had the advantage. He towered over the quaking leprechaun, ready to smash an enormous beer barrel over the poor fellow's head. Oh, for pity's sake, said Floss, who was also an accomplished wish you happy birthday, witch. Aloha Mora. With a wave of her wand, Floss opened the sealed barrel, dumping a lovely golden brew over the troll, and quite possibly saving the leprechaun's life. Floss, cried the leprechaun, let me thank you with a wee kiss. But the hag shook her tangled trestles of hair and refused him. You see, I'm the one she likes, shouted Troll. He somersaulted to his lady love and tried to gather her in his great arms, but in a blink of a cyclops' eye, the hag disapparated and her companions fled. Once again, the bartender was left with a dreadful mess to clean up. His wife, who had witnessed the whole affair, heaved a sigh and began to mop up the ale. Well, my dear, she said, at least we've learned 2 important lessons. What's that? Said her grumpy husband. He was in no mood for philosophical musings. Obviously, the wise and alarmingly cheerful woman continued, a Benny saved is a Benny spurned, but a rolling troll gathers no floss. And now you see why Professor McGonagall stopped me from telling this joke. In fact, she had heard me tell it twice and has threatened me with several unforgivable curses if I ever attempt to tell it again in her presence. I believe this type of joke, one that can go on for a very long time with an annoyingly small payoff, is called a, quote, shaggy dog story in Muggle terms. I consider it excellent fun, especially when I allow myself to sing every verse of the Troll and the Leprechaun's birthday songs. I once knew a very fine leprechaun who excelled at this sort of tale. His record length of time before delivering a faintly amusing punchline was somewhere in the neighborhood of 7 years. Unfortunately, he was driven out of Ireland immediately afterwards. I encourage you to tell this joke to your friends and add as many riddles and unimportant details as possible. But do not blame me if they are not your friends when you finish. Yours in mischief and mirth, Professor A. Dumbledore.
Wow.
It's just the dumbest thing. They go on. It's just
that was longer than the chapter itself.
Right? It's crazy. Sorry.
But you know what's funny to think about, though? Where did he learn that joke? Maybe at his brother's bar.
Probably.
Maybe this actually happened in
I don't know.
the Hog's Head.
The
Hag's Head.
The Hag's Head was...
Wow.
Yeah. So, shout out to MuggleNet. Shout out to ChatGPT. Both terrible jokes. Real lame. Sorry. Just had to give it to you.
Now we know, though, what Dumbledore was trying to say. Or we can, at least...
speculate that it wasn't appropriate or it was going to take way too long and McGonagall had enough of it.
Right. So. Back to the Triwizard Tournament, though.
Please, get us back.
Yeah, Dumbledore, I love how he starts explaining what it is, but he also seems to assume that some already know. So he says, I hope those who do know will forgive me for giving a short explanation and allow their attention to wander freely. And I want to say, as a teacher, I think this should be said more sometimes.
Oh, for sure.
Sorry, well, explain it again. If you already know, allow your attention to wander freely.
Right.
Don't talk to each other, but you can drift off for
daydream for a second. Go to your happy place.
I love that he says that.
Yeah, actually, I think I'm going to use that next year.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Like, I need to do a lot of review.
Yeah.
These 5 need this review, and the rest of you guys just give me 2 minutes.
Right.
Okay.
Yes. So then he gives all this background information about the Triwizard Tournament, and he's announcing, it's taking place at our school this year. The other schools, Durmstrang and Beauxbaton, are only bringing a short list of contenders, and they will be arriving in October, so they have at least 1 month of a normal school year, opposed to the movie where they arrive right away. And also, it seems like, I don't know, I never really thought about it, but I guess like the other Beauxbaton and Durmstrang students, they just stay there and have a normal school year, while a certain number, they don't give us a number how many students of each school are there.
No, yeah, just a handful, right? Could be 50, could be...
Right.
Yeah.
And in school, we know that it's going to be boys and girls for both schools, so they're not just mono education.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's an age restriction, which a lot of students don't like, and they're all talking about how to enter. What is odd to me, though, is that Fred and George, so Dumbledore releases them, they're going to bed, they're going to Gryffindor Tower, and they're all talking, and Fred and George, they think that Dumbledore hasn't really said it's going to be the Goblet of Fire who's going to choose. He just said a judge. So they are all assuming it's a person who's going to choose, right? So if I hear, okay, you can only enter if you're 17, and this is the person who's going to choose from that entry, I'm not going to assume that this person is not going to talk to like the teachers, and if I'm under 17 and he would choose my name, I would just think that the teachers would tell him, no, this person can't enter.
But
But
as you
Fred
see,
and George, they just kind of, I don't know, assume that this is not the case.
and they assumed correctly, didn't they?
They do, but if you think of a person, I don't know, it would be weird to assume that.
Yeah, they don't know. I mean, again, they also have their insight to the magical world is interesting, right?
Yeah.
So maybe they understood what Dumbledore was saying a little bit about this being this impartial judge that is just going to pick the best champ.
Yes.
You guys are trying to put this age restriction on the cup. If you, look, really, the age restriction is this line.
Yeah.
If you can get past the line, which is created by the teachers, the cup, it doesn't care. The cup will just pick the best person, the best champion, whoever they think is most worthy. And yeah, that's an interesting thing to think about there as well too.
Right.
Because Harry Potter, interestingly, when we get there later, Barty Crouch Jr., fake Moody, will create a whole nother school.
And he's the only one who entered for that school.
Yeah.
True.
Because he would not have been chosen. Cedric was it.
Probably.
And I think even if you opened it up to everybody underage, Cedric still...
Harry would not have been chosen. I actually thought about, before we started this episode, I thought about if Hermione would have been a good contender. But then someone pointed out, well, she is super smart, but sometimes when you think back, she panics. In certain situations, she all of a sudden panics and doesn't know what to do for a second and is frozen. She doesn't fly very well. She's certain things that she might have not done the best. And I was like, wow.
And that grows,
maybe.
throughout the series.
Definitely.
I think she starts to change. I think by the time she's in her 5th or 6th year, I think.
Especially in the 7th book.
Yeah.
She did everything.
She's clutch. She's it. Yeah.
Honestly, yeah. So it's just fun to think about, yeah. Neville. Neville would have been, he said he would have felt pressure to enter because his grandma always says he has to kind of restore or, bring some honor to his family name. Yeah. With his parents being Ors and stuff. What's cool is that Ron defends him. When Neville steps into, the steps sometimes vanish when they go up the stairs, and Neville accidentally kind of falls in.
Skip that step.
Right, they help him out, and one of the suit of armors laughs at him, and Ron's like, "Shut it, you," and bangs down its visor as they pass. So it's very nice of him.
Ron's got his back.
Yeah, he does. And then we end the chapter, and it sounds so comfy. When Harry, Ron, Neville get into their pajamas and into bed, someone, a house elf no doubt, had placed warming pans between the sheets. It was extremely comfortable lying there in bed and listening to the storm raging outside. Yeah. And then, of course, Harry drifts off into like a dream about him impressing Cho and stuff. But yeah.
Which, I mean, yeah, he's it's crazy that he's just noticing these other houses and stuff. Cedric's noticing her too.
True.
You know?
Yeah.
I hope we get more in the TV show about how maybe just a few other moments where we look across the Great Hall and we see Harry's admiring her, but we also see, like, even beyond Cho is, like, maybe Cedric looking at her, too. And we're like,
I feel like Cedric and Cho have been talking even the prior year more because they are they in the same year? No, Cedric is in 6, Cho in 5, Harry in 4.
Yep.
So she's a year younger than Cedric, but they probably, since they both are Quidditch players, I feel like the Gryffindors often talk with the Slytherins or have classes with the Slytherins, maybe, even though she's younger, but I don't know, I feel like they've known each other even longer than this year. They've
for sure
before.
Right on. All right, well, there we went.
This is the chapter. This is the Triwizard Tournament. That's it, guys. It's over. I was just as funny as ChatGPT.
Yeah, I don't know what the joke is there, but well, with that, I'm sure you guys have had your fill of jokes and okay. Got nothing. I'm sure you guys are just done, all right, with us, and we appreciate you. Thanks for hanging in there. If you're still listening here to the end, you guys are the best.
You are.
If you listened all the way to this very moment right now, send us a message so we can give you a special shout out or something.
Yes.
Because I'm telling you right now, that just makes me happy.
Yeah.
People who get to the end of the podcast. Not many.
Do I get a special something for every time I edit, I get to the end of the episode?
Absolutely. You name it. Yeah. You make sure.
I mean, guys, which is even harder when you have to listen to yourself again and again and again every week.
You're doing great, though, right? You're getting used to your own voice. You're getting used to... Yeah. Okay. All right, friends. Well, that is all for this week. Thank you for tuning in to Shell Cottage Radio 94.7 COZY. We hope you'll join us in the future. We thoroughly do enjoy meeting new positive Potter people that don't behave like babbling, bumbling bands of baboons. If you don't want to miss out on the next episode, then be sure to subscribe to our podcast and leave us a review and follow over on social media at fleurandbill.
If you truly enjoy our content, consider supporting our
Sport that riveting grow.
I wanted to make it quick. If you truly enjoy our content, consider supporting our growing wizarding family on Patreon or at Premium. We're going to make it all the way to the end. You'll find all the links down below. Thank you so much to all our current patrons.
Oh. This I have this for about 40 minutes. 40 minutes. I've been sitting here holding this. You just can't fit. I knew you got into laughing. What do you want me to do?
We love you, patrons. We appreciate you too, Luna and Beck. On our next reviewed episode, we will discuss Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, Chapter 13, Mad-Eye Moody. We'll have one of our previous guest hosts back on to share thoughts and theories, so make sure to tune back in next time. And until then, have a great rest of your week. Thanks for joining us in our show cottage today. We know it's not much, but it's home.
Something perfunctory? What was I? What am I even talking about?
Hogwarts will host a number of pre-selected top students from Beauxbatons. Durbaton. Hogwarts will host. No, stop. I love it. Have fun editing. Knox.